Hey guys, welcome back. So today, got something a little bit different. This is my personal John Deere tractor. It's an LT 155, and I picked this up, of course, in non-running condition. It was a mess. That was about 5 years ago. I should have made a video on it. It would have been a good one, but I did make a video later replacing the head gasket, and since then this tractor has been running quite well up until this year. It's been getting increasingly difficult to start, and once running, it runs fine. But 2 weeks ago, couldn't get it started at all. I did take the air filter off, spray a little starting fluid in it, and it fired right up for a second, but then it died. So I know I have spark, I know I have timing, and I have compression. Fuel has to be the issue. So I assumed the carburetor was the issue, and I pulled it off, dropped the bowl, and found that it was spotless inside. So then thought I'd just crank the engine. This has a fuel pump. I should see fuel pumping out of here. Nothing at all. But I do feel a pulse of air. It actually feels like it's pulling backwards. So this is not a gravity-fed system. It has a fuel pump. Most likely there's a bad check valve. And yes, I did check the fuel. The tank is full. So what I did next was go around to the other side and just check that the fuel is at least making it to the fuel filter and the filter is not clogged. And this is the filter here in question. It's a paper filter. It's been on here a couple years, but as you can see, it is full of fuel. And if I pull this line off, you'll see we got plenty of flow, so that is not the issue. I mean, potentially there is a clog somewhere up here, but my money's on the fuel pump. This tractor is about 25 years old. This is a mechanical fuel pump, and there are check valves in here. And most likely they're just sticking, because up until 2 weeks ago I could get it to start, but I'd have to crank for about 2 or 3 minutes. And 2 weeks ago I was cranking for about 5 minutes, and the system wouldn't prime. So I did pick up a new pump. It is from Stens, and replacing this one shouldn't be too difficult. It's really just removing these two bolts, disconnecting the fuel lines, and putting the new one in. So that's what I'm going to do. Probably just cut that. You can see this is a mechanical pump. It just rides on a lobe on the cam. Anyway, not much to it really. Just got to clean off this gasket, put a new one on. We should be good to go. And to clean the gasket, I do use a utility knife blade, but you do have to be careful. This is aluminum. It scratches very easily. And you don't want to do that, because then the new gasket won't make a good seal. And you want to make sure it's a new blade, which this is. It's probably the hardest part of the job. It just takes a while to do it right. Not that using a razor blade is right. You know, I've tried plastic blades. You'll be there all day. Scotch-Brite kind of works good for the final cleaning, but you know, a gasket like this, it's hard to get off. Now, even though there's still a gasket there, it feels pretty smooth. You know, I have a feeling that that's just filling low spots, so it may not necessarily be bad to leave. Gonna give this brush a try. It's a plastic brush made by 3M. It's made for cleaning head gasket material off of aluminum blocks for cars, and I use it quite a bit. You know, I've never really done it on something like this, but I think this might call for it. I'm kind of not making too much progress with the razor blade or the Scotch-Brite. That should be good enough. So I decided to use a Stens part on this. It's about half the cost of the OEM pump and pretty good quality. It's a lot better than the $12 pumps, but you know, this one probably cost me about 40 bucks. New parts on the left, old on the right, and they are almost identical. I do need to install the fuel inlet and outlet. You know, other than that, I think the biggest difference here is the part that mounts up to the engine. There is a gasket right here, and unfortunately there's no instructions as far as what to do about this, because the confusing part here is that, I guess first of all, there's a gasket, so I could theoretically just bolt this on just like this, but it also came with a metal plate and a gasket, which I guess my best guess would be that if you have a bad surface on the block, you could probably do something like this. So now that gasket is sealing on this nice piece of metal, and then you still have a gasket between the pump and the engine. But without instructions, it is a bit of a guessing game, but I think that makes sense to me. So that is what I'm going to go with, and if it leaks oil, then I know I did it wrong. On the old pump, we have a straight fitting and one that goes at 90 degrees in this angle. So when I put the new ones on, I just need to make sure I put the straight one on top and the 90 degree on the bottom. And this tool here, you just got to get the tabs pressed on both sides, and then that lets the fitting drop in place. And you do want a little bit of oil to help it drop in place. And the bottom one should go something like that. Just want to make sure that tab pops back out. Yeah, there we go. So we should be good for installation. Close enough. Just going to use a little assembly lube. You can use oil as well, but this will stay on much longer if you don't plan on starting the engine right away. Yeah, this might be a bit tricky. don't have a torque spec on this. I'm just going to tighten it to 80 inch-pounds. So if anything, go easy on it. If it leaks, you can just tighten it up more. You just don't want to strip out a bolt. It's making me nervous. I'm going to do 60 inch-pounds. There we go. All right, let's try 70, or maybe, yeah, 70. That should be fine. Not feeling a pulse, so I'm wondering if using that metal plate as a spacer has now moved that mechanical pump too far away from the lobe on the cam. So I'm going to pull that pump off real quick. I will eliminate the gasket and the metal plate, and I'll just go with the O-ring and see if that changes things. I don't know. All right, I'm just going to crank it like this. There we go. Stuff falling everywhere from the trees. All right, there we go. Let's get that carb back on. We should be back in business. Okay, let's try this out. Okay. All right, not too bad. And just in time for the fall, because this is the only machine I have with a bagger, and I need this to clean my yard. So, overall, pretty easy job. I guess the only question mark in my mind is what was that spacer for? Because without it, that pump is about 20 thousandths closer to the cam, and there were no instructions with it. So with the spacer, it didn't seem to work. Without it, well, it's working. So I'm going to do a little bit more research on the Stens website just to make sure I didn't make a mistake here. But, either way, it's an easy enough thing to put it back in if I find out I did something wrong here. So I hope this video helps someone. Thanks for watching.